You have to be sure that you know that these people have your best interests at heart, that you feel safe, that you know that they are going to be okay with you. To do that, you need to approach people individually and do your best to give people the space to breathe. As we get to the holiday season, we're all thinking about seeing our families, talking to these people. And I think that a thing that lots of trans people consider during this time is, their desire to come out to their family. At least I imagine that that's what's happening, because people are searching for this a lot. It's coming up in like the search suggestions. Previous video that I've made about it is getting decent traffic right now. People want to know how to come out. I think that it is like we're approaching the holiday season and y'all want to know how to come out to your families and what to say and how to present yourselves. And I've given this advice before and I'll give it again. We're going to discuss it with chat a little bit, but my suggestion is to not do it during the holiday season, or at least don't do it at your Christmas, and probably don't do it right before your Christmas either. Because here's what's gonna happen. Here's what I'm worried about happening for you, okay? Coming out in this day and age is tough. Coming out as trans specifically. I wanna be clear, I'm coming at that from that angle. I'm not really gonna be talking about how to come out as queer, like how to come out as gay or anything. We're talking about specifically the trans issue, because obviously it's contentious. It's contentious at the moment. It's a big deal. So before we go too much further, I just want to say, hit the like button if you're enjoying the content. Consider subscribing and hitting the bell and maybe clicking all notifications to get notifications for the channel. Also consider checking out my brand new merch store, which just launched. There's going to be a link down in the description. And you can also check out my Patreon, where there are some promo deals for patrons if you want to maybe get a deal on some of your merchandise. So thank you very much for watching the content. Hope you continue to enjoy. My recommendation is not to come out at this time of year, because what's going to happen is you're going to have a room full of people who are all some flavor of upset at you, to some extent. If you do it right before the holidays as well, you run into the risk of your family trying to run an intervention on you, something like that. You have to be sure that you know that these people have your best interests at heart, that you feel safe, that you know that they are going to be okay with you. And to do that, you need to approach people individually and do your best to give people the space to breathe. Don't put them in a position where they have to come up with an immediate response. All of those things are going to be a mixture for badness. What I don't want you to have this Christmas or this Thanksgiving is your entire family circled around you, asking you questions about your identity and asking about your transition and your surgery plans, and it will just be a lot. So I caution you initially, operating under the assumption that this is the reason why people are searching for this topic so much right now, is it may be worth it to wait until after the new year if you're feeling this pressure. And I know that you're going to see all these people and it's going to be rough to have to deal with being misgendered. If you know what your real pronouns are, if you know what your real name is, if you can roll out the name in a way that is not obvious that it's a trans-related thing, maybe you might want to try that. That could be your slow sort of way of getting out of the closet. It's just a real dicey time of year. Everybody's stressed. People are traveling. People are trying to plan these big meals. People are trying to budget to get everybody a gift and everything. So really, I would just suggest waiting until after Christmas. And I'm not going to guarantee that your family's going to yell at you, and going to be unaccepting. But don't take a family holiday and make it about you coming out. It's not for that. Come out to each individual person. Write a letter. Send a text. Write an email. If you know the person well enough, maybe do a phone call or meet for lunch outdoors. Yeah, Jay points out in the YouTube chat, if you spread it out over a year, it'll give everyone time to settle and sort themselves out until next Christmas. Yeah, in January, when people don't have a bunch of other stuff going on, maybe consider starting to tell the family members that you know will be more sympathetic. Try to get as many people on your side as you can, and then start tackling the ones that are going to be more resistant, I thought coming out individually was only necessary for conservative families. I didn't know it was normal protocol, but we do be living in a society. I mean, even supportive Democratic families, even families who voted because they wanted gay marriage to be legalized or whatever, even those people who think of themselves as progressive, they still have a hard time adjusting when it's happening in your family. Your mom might express disbelief on account of, well, you always loved wearing dresses when you were little. Like, what are you trying to mean you don't identify as a girl? Like, like people will still have this reflexive reaction sometimes, no matter how well-intentioned they are, especially during a time of year where things are really stressful. And all it takes is one person having a negative reaction. Here's what happens if you come out in a large group of people. Let's say you have a family of like 10 people, right? You come out, you say your piece, or you wear your little sweatshirt and someone notices it and they start talking to you about it, right? The people are going to start looking to each other before they start to react. Like, this is just a normal human thing. It's not anything special about coming out, or you and your family or anything. People look to each other to try to gauge what the reaction of the room is. And they don't mean to do it, but all it takes is one person going, well, that's I've been hearing about this on the news, these groomers, blah, 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 blah. All it takes is one person. And then maybe other people who were kind of on the fence will be like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it seems like so many of your friends have been coming out. Are you sure that this isn't just, just because you're friends? Like, it doesn't have to be all intense transphobia in order for it to be an unpleasant time, like an unpleasant day. Coming out privately to my parents still didn't go over very well. I love gay people, but I never suspected my own son becoming gay. But imagine that times like 12. Like, how many family members are at your event? Just imagine that reaction times 10. I came out and told my mom that I was already on 3 months of HRT in a coffee shop, and she just was like, oh, okay, and asked when I wanted to go by. My mom had a wholesome reaction versus my best friend at the time having a negative reaction. Definitely felt backwards. I'm related to people who sincerely recommended Matt Walsh's What is a Woman documentary to me. I think you can guess how they reacted when I came out. See, I would not come out to those people, and that's another really important thing about coming out that y'all should know is sometimes the correct thing to do is not come out. You don't have to. Plenty of folks out there have just moved to another city and stopped talking to their dad or their mom or whatever, like stopped talking to their grandparents and are just living their best life as their target gender and don't talk to people about it. If it's unsafe, if you're financially dependent on your parents and you're not sure how they're going to react, put out feelers, like ask, oh, what do you think about the rhetoric that we've been hearing? Or what do you think about this individual trans person who just came out? Like, how did you like Elliot Page's performance in that movie or whatever? Determine if it's safe, because what you don't want, definitely, is to come out to people who are then going to cut you off financially. Like, if you're in college and if you're like on your parents' insurance and stuff, there are risks to coming out. You don't want to end up like a homeless teenager or a college dropout because your parents decided to revoke their support of you. So you do need to try to, feel the situation out and make sure. But just, I would not come out to people who were like recommending the Matt Walsh documentary to me. People speaking positively of Matt Walsh or Ben Shapiro or even Joe Rogan, I would be like, If people are speaking highly of politicians whom are very transphobic, like, I would recommend being cautious and using a lot of discretion in those situations. Thank you so much to my patrons and potential future patrons. I especially want to shout out Tiago Nascimento, Mersh Rolvog, Michelle Frateroli, Amanda B., Wellington Marcus, Michelle Winter, Danielle McDonald, Suzanne Maynard, Spooky Heather Sylvia, Past Null Infinity, Jamie Jam, Nova, Elizabeth Bartell, Sojo, Sarah A., Kevin Young, Athiet, Desi Quiche, Liam Hodgson, and Mr. Atheist.